Hi guys, it's Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's Grow With Me video, we're going to be talking about making a cold frame or sort of like a mini greenhouse. Now this is not a tutorial by any means. This is more for me documenting what I am doing to see if it actually works. I'm going to try and come back in a week or two and see if this project is actually going to work. So what we're doing is sort of creating our own little greenhouse. It's been unseasonably warm here the past couple of days in Pennsylvania, and we don't have frozen ground yet. So we're gonna attempt to plant a few seeds that we found at our local greenhouse this past week. So there's a couple seeds in here. We're gonna do some cilantro, we're gonna do some kale, we're gonna try some spinach, and also some lettuce. Now these things are crops that are frost hardy, meaning they won't survive in super cold, like single digit kind of weather, but they should be okay in the sort of 50s, 30s, kind of bouncing around a little bit like we're having here currently. So we're gonna try and do this, and so we can have some baby greens to harvest over those long winter months. So a couple things that I'm gonna use for my project. We actually have this old bin, just a clear plastic bin that you would get at Walmart, dollar store, something like that. We actually had one in our attic that was not being used, so we're just gonna recycle that. I do have a thing of organic potting mix that I picked up at our local greenhouse, and then I just have it sitting on the lid to this container currently, just because it's gonna make it a little bit easier to maneuver this around as I need to, okay? So first things first, we need a little bit of drainage. So I have a handy dandy screwdriver here. I'm just gonna poke some holes in this just to make sure that the water can kind of get out of this bag. No rhyme or reason to this. I'm just sort of poking holes all over just to make sure that water can escape. Just like that. Simple, right? All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is just flip this right over, and we're going to have it laying right here in the bottom. Now, this next step, what I'm going to do is take a sort of box cutter type of a thing, and we are going to sort of cut out a little box because we're going to be planting our greens right in this bag. It's a pretty cool process. I have no idea if it's going to work. I found this from another YouTuber, so this is what we're going to attempt to do, and we'll see what happens. So we're just going to cut a little square out of this. Now I'm not going to go right to the edge because we want the plastic to be strong enough to sort of hold the rest of that soil in for us. So I'm going to start right about here. Like that. Okay. So, next step is going to take this little cultivator, because the soil in here is pretty compact. You can see it's kind of in that sort of blocky stage because it's been in the bag for so long. So what we're going to do is just use this to sort of break up the soil a little bit, work this a little, so that way when we plant our seeds, they'll have time to sort of like get down into the soil a little bit better. Okay, so now that we have some of our soil loosened up here, you'll see that we have a little bit of excess soil on top. So rather than have it sort of mounding up so much like this, we want it nice and level. So, oh, it feels so good to get my hands dirty again. So what I'm gonna do is I have a couple of extra little pots here that I'm just gonna kind of remove some of this excess soil. Now that it's broken up and loose, we can maybe plant some other things in here as well. Neighbors are out and probably wonder who I'm talking to. All right. Break some of this up a little bit better here. Okay, so now we are ready to plant our seeds. These seeds I did find on discount at our local gardening center, our local greenhouse, and so these seeds were meant to sell in 2021 to plant then, so I don't know what our germination rate is going to be like on these, So I just picked up what I could. They were 5 packs for $1, so I figured it couldn't go wrong there. So the first thing we're gonna try and grow is some lettuce. This is black-seeded Simpson lettuce. So we should be able to harvest this if they germinate. So seeds on these are pretty small. Just so you can see the seeds on those, pretty small seeds. So what we're gonna do is, normally, I'm a big proponent of sort of spacing out your seeds, but because we're gonna harvest these as baby greens and not let them grow to their full size, we can actually plant them a little closer than what we normally would. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle these on. Because this is sort of an experiment, I'm probably overplanting a little bit. Should the seeds all germinate and we get lucky enough to do that, then I'll go ahead and make sure that we are kind of breaking them up a little bit and pulling out some of the extra plants that we don't need. And then all I'm doing now is we're just gonna barely cover everything up. We just want it barely covered to make sure that the seeds have a chance to germinate, just like that. And there are our seeds. The next thing we're gonna try and plant is some spinach. This is Bloomsdale long-standing spinach. So we'll pull our seeds off for that. Plant that right in the middle here. And then again, just sort of barely turn those seeds under to make sure they are just barely covered so they can have a chance to germinate. Just like that. And then we're also going to do a little roll of kale. Kale, this is Dorflu curled Vates kale. Kale is another one that is really good. It is frost resistant, frost hardy. So we're going to try and do a couple rows of kale just beside our spinach. Okay. And last but not least, we have a little bit of cilantro. Cilantro is one of my favorite things. Cilantro is actually a crop that does not like the heat. It tends to bolt in the middle of summer, so this is definitely a cold weather crop. So we're gonna try and grow a little bit of it because my family loves cilantro. We love Mexican food, and in a lot of Mexican dishes, it's one of our favorite things to add. So we're gonna add a couple of cilantro right to the end. Now, the next step for this is going to be watering these. Now, you don't want to use a hose or anything that can wash out these teeny tiny little seeds, so just a little bit of a watering can would be a great thing to use. I'm going to go grab my watering can and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back with my watering can. I really wanted to find a watering can with sort of that spout on the end of it. Could not find mine. I don't know what I did with it. I feel like it might have cracked last time I had a garden, and so I might not have it anymore. So we're just going to very carefully pour this in here. You want to just make sure that you're not disturbing where you just planted all those seeds because they are so close to the surface. So you just want to be careful with that. You don't want to displace everything you just planted. So we're going to try and give this a good soaking here. Make sure everything's nice and wet. And remember, we have those drain holes on the bottom, so if you overwater it, it's going to be okay. They have a space for it to go. Now this will be something that you'll have to keep an eye on because it is in this container that you're going to want to make sure that you are watering this because rain and snow and obviously everything can't get to it because you're going to have this top covering all of your seeds. So you're just going to want to keep an eye on that over the winter months. And I'm going to try and place mine in a spot that has full soil or full sunlight as well to make sure that the plants have the best chance at growing. All right, so my last stop is going to be kind of tucking these corners in the best that I can because we are going to need our top lid to fit right over top. So this is where we are creating the greenhouse part of this to keep that heat in as best we can for all of these cold, hardy vegetables for our microgreens. So we're just gonna tuck that in a little bit. It should fit down just nice, perfect. So that's it. That's creating our mini greenhouse. Hopefully these things will sprout. We will see what happens. I'll try and do a little update video here in a couple of weeks and let you guys know how it's working out, because like I said, first time I've ever tried doing this. Now, if you do have a climate too where you're getting a lot of condensation here, or you have days where it's sitting in full sun and it gets pretty warm, I don't think I'm gonna have that problem here in Pennsylvania, but if you live in a warmer climate, you might need to just sort of prop this up a little bit and let some airflow get to it. I don't think I'm gonna need that here in Pennsylvania, but we're just gonna slide this right down here off this little step that I have it on to show you how to set it up. And I'm just gonna leave it here in my yard and we'll see what happens. All right, so if you guys have done this before, or if you're gonna try it out, let me know how it goes in the comments. I'm super curious to see how it goes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're gonna have some baby greens that we can harvest this winter as we start planning all of the good stuff for next spring to plant in our garden. So thanks for tagging along with me today in this Grow With Me series. I'm really having a lot of fun researching all of this stuff and learning some new things. Hope you guys learned something as well. If you have any advice for me, please make sure you drop that in the comments as well. I'm certainly open to learning new things as well. All right, so until next time, my friends, always remember, keep smiling, be kind to one another, and we'll talk to you soon.